So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ACCA audit webinar. My name is Vanessa, and I'm so proud to be joined by Nadine from IRBA. Before we actually start the presentation, I'm going to ask my colleague just to draw up a poll. We just want to find out if you're here representing yourself or your firm. So, and then also, what benefits do you see from the ACCA audit stream? There's a couple of options: cost saving, passing on cost saving to clients, greater retention, and access to a larger talent pool. If you can answer that, that's good information for myself, and I'm sure Nadine will also be very interested in that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So we'll just wait a minute while everyone's filling in the poll. Okay, I think we've got about 47 people on, and I see at the moment we are, there's 48 people, and so far 33 have responded. We're on about 70%. So I'll just give it another 20 seconds that people can respond. If everyone can respond on the poll, that'll be great. All right, we are, let's have a look and see. We're 44 of 51. All right, I think we're going to end the poll now. Thank you to everyone. And there we go. I'm just going to share the results, but we have got we will have a summary of all of that. All right, so I'm actually going to switch my camera off while I present. That's okay with everyone. So let me just remove the poll. There we go. In preparation for this webinar, it struck me that all the acronyms we have is a bit of an alphabet soup. We have ACCA, IBTC, IRBA, SAAQ, PER. So let me get this out the way. IBTC is us. It's International Business Training College. We are the tuition provider, the college, and we manage the academic side of the program. We give the tuition, so it's either on site, face-to-face, or as an online class, and we get the trainees exam ready. Now, I'm sure IRBA needs no introduction. And Nadine, would you like to tell us a little bit about IRBA and your role?
So firstly, thank you, Vanessa, and to IBTC for the opportunity, and welcome to everybody on the call. It's very important for IRBA to reach out and to have a presence at the grassroots level. A little bit about myself. I started as a school teacher teaching accounting. So accounting's really, my base of where I was, and education is really close to my heart. And I think it's important for us to have these conversations. I'm so encouraged by the geographical spread of the people that are on the call, because it's quite important for the IRBA to make sure that our RAs are servicing the public interest across the country and not just in the main centers as such. As you know, the RA scope of audits extends far beyond just any kind of JSE type listed companies. So from IRBA, we welcome these opportunities, and we look forward to, Vanessa, I'm sure you will allow for some questions and so on going forward. And then you can ask us anything. We're happy to answer that on this call or even afterwards if time doesn't permit. Thanks, Vanessa. Back to you then.
Thank you. Now, Nadine, can you share with the audience why IRBA needs or needed another audit stream process?
So I think for the IRBA, because we're a regulator, we tend to always start with our actual Audit Professions Act. And in the Audit Professions Act, it indicates that the board should consider whether a professional body meets the accreditation criteria. So the legislation is never restrictive, as it shouldn't be, being a government statute. And the reason for encouraging and opening up the audit route to different professional body routes is because we need to have access into the audit profession. And by only having one route, it meant that the access was limited to one type of qualification and one set of criteria for access. So with the ACCA being the second additional professional body, we were very excited that they offer different opportunities to a broader segment of students, to a segment of students that are not only going to be aligned to the Chartered Accountant SICA route. And you'll notice I'm choosing my words very carefully because a Chartered Accountant can be a SICA member and can be an ACCA member. So the term Chartered Accountant is not restricted to SICA as such. So it's about access, but also about broadening the pipeline. We all know that the audit profession is losing auditors through immigration, but also sometimes a little bit of lack of interest from younger people to do audit. So we needed to see what the bottlenecks were, and one of them was that there was only one way to become an RA. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Okay, so enough of all the acronyms, but I'm going to talk a little bit about another acronym, the SAAQ qualification, which stands for Audit Qualification. So to achieve the ACCA Audit Qualification, students need to select the right subjects and obtain their work experience at an audit firm. This is because the 3 years practical training must be done in auditing. The firm would also need to be an approved employer in audit. To specialize in auditing, they must also complete 18 months at an audit firm and be registered onto the IRBA development program. To be a professional accountant with IRBA, 3 years practical experience can be at an ACCA approved employer. Now, how to run an ACCA audit stream at your firm? Audit firms must be registered at an ACCA approved employer in the audit stream. You need to look for graduates or matriculants. When I'm saying matriculants, we're actually working with one of the big four, and they have got two streams. They've got one stream of matriculants that they are putting from the foundation level of ACCA, and their second stream is qualified graduates, for instance, a BCom accounting, and they're running through another stream where they're starting either on applied skills or strategic professional level. While they're working, they will study ACCA with a reputable college like ourselves or directly with ACCA. Now, exemptions and specific subject selections will apply. While they are working, they will gain experience in an accounting or financial role. And for the audit stream, they need to work on audits and complete their practical experience requirement PER. On completion of the ACCA exams, they will be awarded the ACCA South Africa Audit Qualification or ACA SAAQ. Now, at this point, you may now choose to register them for the IRBA's Audit Development Program. I imagine you're all familiar with this portion. Nadine, can you tell me what is the difference whether students come from SICA or from ACCA?
So thanks, Vanessa. I really love this question because when we were accrediting the ACCA, our own evaluators had this impression that the benchmark was SICA, and that is not the case. So IRBA is the regulator. We accredit both professional bodies with the same criteria. So in other words, becoming a chartered accountant that leads to audit through ACCA or SICA, you meet the same requirements. The way you meet the requirements may look different. And I think, Vanessa, we cover that later on in the presentation. But at this
Correct.
stage, both SICA and ACCA routes meet the IRBA requirement, which allows you to move into the ADP. Yes, if I just touch on, I think a lot of people are not here as their firms, but what would be nice is that if you are within a firm and you feel empowered by this information, to encourage your firm to register you as an ACCA student for the audit program. This will also help you. Thanks,
Fantastic.
Vanessa. Sorry, Vanessa, can I
That's
add one more thing? I see it's on your
of
notes.
course.
At the moment, what's very interesting, and it's interesting, but it's also obvious. All of the firms that are registering ACCA students are currently audit firms registered with the IRBA, which means they are currently firms that have always been training SICA chartered accountants towards the RA designation. So why that's a good thing is that they have experience in the audit training. So it doesn't mean because your firm hasn't done ACCA audit that they cannot register you as a student for ACCA, for the ACCA audit route.
Wow, Nadine, that's very interesting. What I'm going to do now is just go in, explain a little bit of the ACCA qualification. And I'm going to go through this quite quickly because I would rather give more time to Nadine when she's going to explain the program a little bit later. But for those of you who are not familiar with the ACCA qualification, ACCA is recognized worldwide. It has 219,000 members and just over 500,000 students in 179 countries around the world. ACCA qualifications are developed with employers. This means that employers all over the world have confidence that ACCA members and students understand the rules and laws of corporate finance in their country. It's a seal of approval, and it also gives a good account of someone's technical ability and experience. ACCA's learning resources and exams have been developed for the working student. ACCA assumes that the students will be working full-time while studying. It is in fact how most of the programs in the UK are run, as an internship. With a global program, you're in good company if you take an ACCA interns and have an ACCA audit stream. You will be on par with how internships are done in the UK. The ACCA requires students to complete 3 years of practical experience. This makes it ideal for firms to use ACCA for their internships. Let's now look at the ACCA qualification in detail. The features of the qualification. This graph shows you what skills and competencies you'll get from the qualification. A good reason to choose the ACCA qualification is the fact that the syllabus is competency-based. As you can see, the syllabus covers a wide range of competencies so that you are not only technically skilled when completing your studies, but you have the necessary skills to operate successfully in a business environment. So ACCA has developed 12 behaviors in its competency framework that it believes are the most important to acquire and nurture. They include everything from data, digital and technology, financial management through to strategy and innovation and taxation. As you can see from this graphic, all behavior centers around ethics and professionalism. The ethics and professional skills module is an essential part of the ACCA qualification, and it helps increase their workplace effectiveness. The module uses realistic business simulations to develop a number of professional skills, such as leadership, communication, and commercial awareness. So now let's have a look at the full ACCA qualification and where you should get started. So ACCA is divided into 3 levels: the foundation, the applied knowledge, applied skills, and then finally the strategic professional level. So most of you, I don't think, are matriculants, but if you are a matriculant, we recommend that you start on the foundation level. If you are a graduate with, for instance, a plain BCom, you will start on applied skills, probably get one exemption and have to complete the rest. If you have a BCom accountancy degree and you from a reputable institution, you will probably start on the strategic professional level. So I'm just going to go straight to the applied skills level because most graduates will start here without, if it's like a plain BCom, or if your degree is quite old, normally they will just give you the whole of applied knowledge and probably the law exam as an exemption. And then, as I said, if you are a graduate that's starting on the strategic professional level, there are 4 exams. This includes 2 compulsory modules. The strategic business leader and the strategic business reporting are compulsory. Then you need to choose from advanced financial management, advanced performance management, advanced tax, and AAA. Advanced taxation, advanced audit and assurance. Now, it's very important for the ACCA audit route, you must take AAA and choose between advanced financial management or advanced tax, the SA variant. So those are the 2 that you need to choose. Later, I will ask Nadine's recommendation of which other subject she thinks you should take. But just that's important, those 2 subjects are compulsory. Now, just a point on the ethics module. The ethics and professional skills module is an essential part of the ACCA qualification. This module uses realistic business simulations to develop a number of professional skills, such as leadership, communication, and commercial awareness. This module supports learning for the strategic professional exams. So it's important that students complete the modules in advance of attempting these exams. Students who do so are statistically proven to significantly increase their chances of passing these exams. Now, just to speak a little bit about PER, as I said before, you have to have 3 relevant work experience and 1 ethics and professional skills module. Once you have completed the strategic professional level of ACCA, as well as your 3 years of work experience, which you can get before, during, or after your studies, then you will be ACCA qualified, and you can then enter the IRBA development program. Now, it normally takes about 3 years, 3.5 years to complete the whole of ACCA, depending on how much time you have to study. So there's no time limit to complete the foundation and the fundamentals, which is applied knowledge and applied skills. However, it's very important to remember the 7-year rule. They have 7 years to pass your strategic professional exams. Once you pass the first strategic professional subject, if you don't pass all the strategic professional exams and you reach affiliate status within 7 years, you'll lose any strategic professional passes achieved. These exams need to be retaken in order to complete the qualification. So just remember of the 7 years. But as I said, if you're joining on applied skills and you get 1 exemption, it'll take you probably about 2 years to complete. If you're starting on the strategic professional level, it will take you a year to complete 4 subjects. So 7 years is actually an overkill. You can quite comfortably complete strategic professional level in 1 year. What I'd like to do now is just ask Nadine if you can take you through the different routes of IRBA and ACCA to the IRBA Audit Development Program. And Nadine actually gave me a very handy slide which explains it really well.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. So, sorry, there's a lot of content there, but I mean, Vanessa, I'm happy for you to also share the two slides I sent you. So, what's very important for us as the regulator is that we are independent from the professional body routes. So we don't compare what's easier or what seems better or what seems more flexible. What we've done is we've opened up two main pathways to become a registered auditor. And then the choice of which pathway you follow depends on three things mainly. It firstly depends on where you are currently now. Are you in a CA or BCom? Are you in a psych program? I saw a question about BCom internal auditing. Secondly, it depends on whether you have just through your experience or through psych's marketing, where you just want to go through the psych route and you feel that because it's a university route and you are in a CTA, that may be the route. The third one is the other benefits you see of being a professional in psych or being a professional in ACCA. So those are quite almost, if I can say, personal decisions. And those are decisions that I think you should be able to discuss with family, but also perhaps with IBTC and also with your professional bodies. Around where you start with either program, it relates to exemptions. So if you wanted to do the psych route, there's only one way to do the psych route, and that is that you've got to register with the university that is accredited by IRBA for a BCom accredited by IRBA, and you can only do your PGDA, or your used to be called CTA, at a IRBA accredited university. So the question on the person who has a BCom internal auditing, you would need to restart your IRBA BCom in order to follow the IRBA route. What I wanted to show you, and this diagram is intentionally drafted with IRBA in the middle. So IRBA is the core, IRBA is the regulator, and the professional bodies have to feed into the IRBA institutional requirements, our framework, academic program, core, and professional development. We're all familiar with the psych route. As Vanessa said, you do your CTA, and then, sorry, we've also outdated there. Psych now calls the first exam an interim assessment competence, and the second exam is called the professional competence. For ACCA, once you've done your first 9 subjects, either through a BCom or through an exempted BCom, and that's what we call this big block here, applied knowledge, etc. You then move into the strategic. And with ACCA, there are 4 strategic papers. Once you finish those 4 strategic papers, you then become an ACCA member, plus the 3 years, you become an ACCA member. To do the ADP, the IRBA with ACCA have agreed that you've got to do the strategic business reporting, the strategic business leadership, obviously advanced audit and assurance, and then you have only one choice: advanced financial management or advanced tax. Thank goodness there is already an advanced tax variant. Vanessa, if you can go to the next slide. Did you? Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask Vanessa that we do answer all the questions in the chat afterwards, because
Sure.
I would like to give people the opportunity, because our information and our clarity, us giving clear information is critically important for this presentation.
Yes.
So here again, we're explaining it slightly differently. This is the general ACCA qualification, the IRBA route, 3 compulsory. Now remember, normal ACCA member, 2 compulsory. IRBA route, 3 compulsory, only 1 choice. You don't have to do that. I'll come back to that. Our requirements are then for ACCA route, applied knowledge, 9 papers, either directly through a university or through exemption. ACCA has exempted, I think, up to 90 different programs across the universities, but you have to apply individually for that exemption letter. Okay, so that's important. The ACCA team has doubled their capacity to help you with that. And I think that IBTC can also facilitate that. And that's why it's nice to go through an IBTC. You're not just an individual, you are a provider, you have provider support. Secondly, the professional exams. Currently, these are being provided directly by ACCA, by universities, and by private providers such as IBTC. My personal experience is I tried to study my BCom with UNISA sort of remote. There wasn't even online. I struggled. I then went to RAW and did night classes, and I was able to study because I had in-person tutoring. So there again, personal choice. What's your best way of learning? What's your methodology of learning? We've discussed the ethics module, 3 years practical audit firm. Vanessa will unpack that later. So what is important here, based on I saw a question, if you haven't done the South African tax variant, sorry, you'll have to do the South African tax variant for the ACCA IRBA route. Because remember, ACCA has been accredited for ACCA South Africa in South Africa. The APA only allows us to have jurisdiction over audits that are with South African companies within South Africa. We have a slight rider with this little purplish block here. The current Audit and Assurance Advanced module doesn't contain the APA and the Companies Act. So we have included one more little assessment. It starts in December. So all South African students also have to do that assessment. It is not as big as the ACCA exams, and it is not as intense, and ACCA will guide you through that. So remember, it was important for us that you have the general international accounting standards, but then you do one more sort of South African-based assessment. By 2027, the Audit and Assurance Advanced module will also be a South African variant. So ACCA is committed to making sure that their routes are going to be aligned to the South African audit route. Thanks, Vanessa. I think I spoke a little bit more than you expected me to there.
No, that was brilliant. Thank you. All right. So Nadine, it's great to have a different route to the IRBA ADBA program to become a registered audit. I must say at IBTC, we're so excited about that. And I'm going to share shortly a case study that we're busy working with one of the big four. As I said, we've got 2 streams that are coming through. So just to remind you, once the academic of ACCA, the practical component, your 3 years PR are completed, students will then have your SAAQ qualifications. At this point, audit firms can register onto IRBA's audit development program. Do you want to just explain a little bit about that, Nadine, or maybe just cover what you haven't covered in this slide about that?
Sure, Vanessa. So what's very important about the audit development program is that it's a specialist route just for audit. So what the IRBA has done is said that your basics as a chartered accountant need to already be in place through your professional body, in this case through SAICA or ACCA. Your practical experience is already in an audit firm that is registered with the IRBA. So we as the regulator are almost regulating your competence up to now. And now what we want to do when you've made that amazing decision that guess what, I actually want to do audits. I want to sign off audit opinions. I want to give the public assurance that that financial statement is something that they can rely on. And then your firm will register you on the audit development program. It's an 18-month competency-based program. So you don't write any further exams. You are there enjoying doing audits on various audit clients. Your RA is overseeing your work, And every 6 months, you submit a practical portfolio of evidence to the IRBA. And thankfully, we have automated that process. So you go online, you register as a registered candidate auditor. You know the attorneys call their learners candidate attorneys. So you are candidate auditors, and then your RA can also go in and look at what you've submitted, and we can give you information online. We can give you tips and tricks of what you're missing. We can see what you've accessed in terms of training support. So that whole process is automated. What's important about the audit development program is that the IRBA is very serious about ensuring that there's audit quality. And as an educator, we understand that training and education is critical in making sure that audit quality stays in place. Now, remember, you've learned the ISAs already in your AAA, you've understood IFRS, you understand financial statements, you understand risk management, you understand business reporting, and you're going to implement all of that while you are auditing actual clients in the audit development program. At the end, you submit a portfolio of evidence. It goes to 3 registered RAs anonymously. They give their input. It then goes to the Audit Development Committee. By the way, I'm meeting with them tomorrow. And then it finally goes to the Education Committee. So the assessment of your experience to be an auditor is very rigorous because, as I say, we welcome you to the profession, but we also want you to take it quite seriously. It is not an extension of the training contract. It does not get administered by SAICA or ACCA. It gets administered directly by my team. And I have a team that manages the audit development program. Vanessa, we can send the links to the videos around the audit development program on our
That'll be awesome.
website. And
Yeah,
we
no, that'll
started
be awesome.
trying to digitize some of our information. Thank you.
Perfect. Now, before I go on to the case study to share with you the work we're doing with one of the big four, I thought let's actually answer some questions in the chat. So there's a question from Nasipo saying, can I ask a question? Absolutely, Nasipo. You can post in the chat, or I'm just going to go through the other questions, and then if you want to unmute yourself, you're more than welcome. So Maveli has asked, what support structure does IBTC have for those who enroll with them over distance learning? Very good question, Maveli. We do have virtual classes which get run over Zoom. And then we also have online courses where you have access to pre-recorded lectures. You obviously will get the textbook, you get mock exams, you have unlimited tutor support by email. So what I can say about IBTC is we hold your hand. We look after you from registration right through to graduation. So we will give you the support that you need. Question is, will it be worth to do a BCom internal auditing degree through UNISA? Nadine, what's your view on that?
So I think that the internal audit would obviously major in internal audit, and internal audit does not transfer to external audit. You can understand that external audit has as us as the regulator, where the public is relying on you to evaluate the financial statements, the validity of information externally. The internal auditor has a great valuable role in the ecosystem because they are already advising the organization about controls, about processes, etc., that would assist that organization to get a clean audit. So it's not a degree that is not relevant, but it would mean that you would either be asking for credits at a university for some of your degree and then beef it up with some of the 9 skills, or you would ask ACCA what they would exempt you from. So worth doing it overall, yes. For audit, it may cause you to divert a little bit and your route will be a little bit longer. But the exemptions from ACCA are based on individual exemptions, unless they've said the WITS degree of BCom of 1990 so-and-so has already been exempt. So I've tested that process. I have an MBA, and So they have to look at it individually. They have to look at the subjects individually and look at the work they've done around that. You can go to the next
Perfect.
one, Vanessa.
Okay. So question, do you offer internships to students studying tax in other institutions? IBTC doesn't, obviously, but I know on the ACCA website, there's often, they post internships. So have a look on the ACCA website. Question, can 3 years of internal audit working experience be considered for PR? Yes, it can definitely count towards your PR. There may be some other requirements they need. What I will do to this group of everyone registered, I will send some information on PR so people can have a look at that. Okay, Findile is saying, thank you for this informative session. You're welcome. You are currently, I just want to see what your question is. In banking, you are due to complete in June next year. Certified in finance,
Yeah, I can take
MBA.
that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, in order to become a registered auditor, your training needed to have been done in an audit firm. That's as easy as it is. So I think your organizations that you've mentioned are probably not audit firms. An audit firm, we mean registered with the IRBA. They can be ICACA firms registered with IRBA or ACCA firms registered with IRBA. But we do have a process where if you haven't done your experience with an audit firm, the ADP that normally takes 18 months can take 30 months. So that is by application, and that goes to the Audit Development Program Committee and through our EDCOM. So we actually only have one student that followed the tax route and, one member, and he decided that actually he wants to be an RA. He then went back to an audit firm and he did his ADP for 30 months. So the route is still possible. We also have, if I can mention now, I'm seeing other questions. If you're already in the audit firm and you haven't been registered on the ADP, we can exempt 12 months of the 18 months, provided that your registered auditor will say you have been working on audits for those 12 months. So you don't have to restart. So we're trying as far as possible to be fair about previous experience. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Question, I got a BCom accounting degree and currently doing postgrad in internal auditing. You will likely start on the strategic professional level. You cannot get any exemptions on the strategic professional level. You will start, you're likely to start on strategic professional. Okay, question here. Someone who has done their psycho trainee program but didn't pass the CTA exams and gave up in the process and opt out of the auditing firm. With your, I presume you've got a BCom accounting or something like that. So again, depending on the year and the level, you will definitely likely start on the strategic professional if you want to do ACCA.
So the
Okay.
ACCA doesn't have a CTA. You go straight from your applied, your 9 modules, straight into professional.
Okay.
And then the term ACCA accredited firm, you can be with an ACCA accredited firm, but for audit, that firm needs to be ACCA accredited for audit. So you
Thanks.
get your general employer ACCA firm, but then for audit, they would be also registered with IRBA for audit.
Thank you. Okay, then Pumeleli is saying, I have a diploma in accountancy and completed your SAIPA. You can become an auditor. It will depend on how many exemptions you get with ACCA. We can definitely help you with that. You can apply without paying registration or anything and just ask ACCA what exemptions you are likely to get. Anyone in this meeting, if I can ask my colleague just to post in the chat, if you need any assistance, just email info@ibtc.co.za and we can definitely help you. Is it possible to get enrolled with ACCA if you have a BCom degree, but only majored in tax, auditing, and accounting without financial management? Absolutely. They will give you X amount of exemptions, but again, we can help you, but you definitely can. What is the next step if you're currently an ACCA member and also completed the 3-year traineeship signed off with SICA, accredited firm, and the PR has been completed with ACCA? Have completed AAA, AFM, SBR, and SBL. Am I right, Nadine? You do need to work for an auditing firm, and they need to
Yes,
carry.
so ACCA needs to look at all of that, and then they give you that SAAQ. They give you like a certificate or a letter to say that you've got the SAAQ. You also need to become an ACCA member, and then you are able to join the ADP program. So you've got the right set of subjects from the look of this, obviously. And then, as I say, you'll do that small assessment, the CBS at the moment, and then you are welcome to join the ADP. Vanessa, I can just mention one small item which I think you must check with ACCA. They currently have a discounted rate for exemptions, which they are
Yes,
running for a short period. So those people
yes.
that have asked for exemptions, you'll just share that with them.
Absolutely. Will do. Okay. Can I get clarity as a matriculant? As a matriculant, if you have 3 subjects on core, I know higher grade was when I went to school, now it's been replaced by core, you will then start on the applied knowledge. Is it possible to get a quote for the modules? And if you want to start next year, absolutely. Please just email info@ibtc.co.za. Can I send my questions formally via email? Absolutely. You can send it info@ibtc.co.za, and you could put in the subject heading ACCA assistance. I'm already a certified auditor in Botswana and a professional accountant and tax practitioner of SIPA practicing in South Africa. How do I go about it? Nadine, I think that's one for you.
Yeah, so I think that will be on an individual basis. And Vanessa, please do share my email
Will
with
do.
everybody on the group, and even my cell phone number. I don't mind.
Thank you.
We don't have a reciprocity arrangement with any other regulators at the moment. We have started talking to Botswana because they wanted to learn from us about the ADP. We possibly the only regulator that has an ADP. But there are about 5 other countries that have adopted the ADP. The tax practitioner part with SIPA is something you need to look at with SIPA and whether SARS accepts tax practitioners from another country. I think as long as you're registered. But let me not speak outside of my point of expertise. Certified auditor with Botswana, you would apply to IRBA, there's a certain process you would follow, and chances are we would invite you for what's called a proficiency interview. And then we would assess whether you are going to be resident in South Africa, whether you would be doing audits outside into South Africa, etc. So that's on a case by case basis until we have reciprocity agreements. We don't have one with Botswana. For SIPA, you'll need to ask SIPA about that.
Perfect. I've done my audit training with the SICA registered audit firm in 2013. Will that be considered? Absolutely. Will you share the presentation? We're recording this and we post it on YouTube. We'll send everyone the links. The 18th month ADP allowed to be backdated based post-article audit experience of 4 years.
Yes. So we don't
Yeah.
like the term backdated because we're accountants, but we call it recognition of prior learning. So definitely, there's a process for that. There's a way that it gets validated by a registered auditor, and that obviously that registered auditor is at the moment still only a SICA member. But yes, and that's also a case by case basis. But we have a formal called a recognition of prior learning policy that we apply. So definitely.
Thank you. Rantuba, based on your BCom accounting degree, you will likely start on the strategic professional level. Are there any bursaries that fund ACCA qualification? Good question. We do. We get bursaries about 4 times a year. So register on IBTC's website. and then be part of our mailing group. And then when we get bursaries, we let the whole database know.
Can I mention something there? At the moment, I think so the audit firms are recruiting for ACCA trainees. They
Yes,
started with small numbers, 10, 15. They're going through their second intake, and now that they've started advertising for January. So why it's also good to be with a registered audit firm is that they do assist you with funding and support. And if, for instance, if you went with IBTC, they would be able to assist you with tuition fees. So that's also a good option, is just to keep your eyes peeled on LinkedIn, follow not only the big four, but follow the audit firms and see where those adverts are coming through.
absolutely. Okay, there's a question here from on the chat from listeners about lecturing. Absolutely. You can email info@ibtc.co.za with subject heading lecturer, and I'll pass that on to the team. I've done my SACA internship with an audit firm, was registered with IRBA, which no longer exists, okay, due to merging with another big audit firm. Before merging, we did pass a IRBA inspection for a colleague who wanted to register as an auditor. She registered in May or June. We merged on 1st of July. The engagement partner is still signing off on audits. Will IRBA accept me if I pass all the ACCA subjects? Only have 2 subjects left.
I think so part of that is based on our RPL policy. Part of it is based on ACCA's exemption policy. So I think if I can please ask Leandre to send you and I, Vanessa, a detailed email and we can take it up. That's quite a unique set of circumstances, but it's not a no. I think it's
Okay.
that we can look into it. Yeah.
Leandre, when you send to info@ibtc, just say for the attention of Vanessa, and then I'll pick it up and provide the details, and I'll send it to Nadine. Okay, then Picardi is saying, I'm a charter business accountant with SEBA, professional tax technician, currently under registration through SIPA. Picardi, do me a favor, won't you email info@ibtc with all your certificates? I will then help you register, and then we can get an indication from ACCA of where you're likely to start. Okay, I have a BTech degree in internal audit. Can I still be considered? Probably not on the strategic professional level. You'll start on applied skills, possibly with 1 exemption, but we can check that with you. We can assist, the team can assist you. Okay, I have 14 years experience working at a small senior accountant and auditor, part of SIPA. Can I apply for RPL for the development program to become a RA?
So the person has to be a SICA or ACCA member.
Yeah.
And that firm has to be registered with the IRBA, and then yes, you can buy. But Vanessa, anything that comes through that's for us, you can also just alert me, or they can send it directly to me. Some of these are easier to do on a one-on-one basis because it has some unique circumstances.
Perfect. Nosipa is asking if she can ask. Nosipa, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 questions that I would like to ask. The first one is for I'm still a SICA trainee, and I'm currently completing my CTA this year, and next year I'm not into ITC or any other board for a SICA. So I'm deciding to pursue my qualification with ACCA because it is recognized globally. So now my question is, when I attempted for exemptions, to calculate the exemptions that are required for me to be able to register as a a student, they said it was I got 9 exemptions because I was having an advanced diploma in accounting. And
Right.
so when I asked through email from the IACC management, they said to me I only have 7. And I asked them, why should I have 7? And when I checked, comparing the exemptions that I got as per the exemption calculator and theirs, they left out taxation, of which I did taxation at an advanced level of my accounting. I don't know if it happens that I'll be registered with IBTC, will I be able to be considered for my 9 exemptions as well?
So what I've done with previous students, I get them to register. We set up individual Teams or Zoom calls. Then we get them to register with ACCA, and they email ACCA. We help you with that whole process. And you send through your certificates and transcripts, and they come back and advise what exemptions you're likely to get. Then once you pay the 45 pounds registration, they will then confirm your exemptions. So I've had a few students in a similar position to you. So please email info and we'll help you with that process.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
The
welcome.
second one, it's I'm currently in a SICA training contract, and which I'm expecting maybe to be signed off next year, being left with one PDS. So now, when I'm transferring, is it my responsibility to go to ACCA and say, "Hello, this is my my competencies," since we do the competencies under SICA website, ne? Or it should be the responsibility of the firm to go and register me again? Because what I'm afraid of, I don't want to redo the training again. I just wanna be exempted and be able to get my competencies the same way as I will be able to get my ACCA qualification at the same time.
So let me try and answer
Yeah.
that. And what's key here is about timing. So if you are almost finished with your psychic training contract and you want it
Yes.
signed off, I would recommend that you do that. But if your firm, so that's the one option. Secondly, is an if. If your firm is considering moving psychic trainees to the ACCA program, or they are taking ACCA, then you don't have a problem at all. But if you want ACCA to consider your training and you're saying you have one more thing left, I would recommend you complete the psychic training, have it signed off, also speak to ACCA about almost recognizing that. Is it at an audit firm?
Yes, it's an audit firm.
Yeah. So ACCA has processes for recognition of prior learning. SICA's recognition, vice versa, is slightly different. But I would suggest you contact ACCA, and you must complete your psycho training contract. Either way, it will benefit you because it will be complete. But don't try and switch. It may disadvantage you if you switch at a late stage, especially if the firm hasn't yet taken on board the idea of having ACCA and psycho trainees.